sometime during the night of February 5th to the 6th, 1952. His Majesty King George VI of the United Kingdom died in his sleep. And his daughter, the Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, became Elizabeth II, Queen of the United Kingdom and of her other commonwealths, the head. That 60 years has been filled with remarkable events. But for we here in the United States, we might wonder, what's all the fuss about? You know, we threw off the monarchy. Why should we be so concerned? And I think one of the things that happened about 10 to 11 years into Elizabeth's reign is an example of the power that some of these royal folks have in a world gone mad with celebrity status. On a visit, I believe it's in Kenya, Elizabeth stopped, out of all things to stop at, a leper colony. Now, leprosy, as you heard today, has been around for countless millennia. And during all of this time, anyone that was a leper was set aside, was cast out. And on her trip that year, she not only went to a leper colony, but she herself shook hands with a leper. And in that one instant, lepers were accepted. The power of her celebrity status put into effect the gospel message of loving others as yourself in one worldwide moment. We hear today in the scriptures about lepers, but of course, none of us that I know of here are affected with leprosy. But here you see an example of a community protecting itself by setting aside those that they thought were diseased, that would bring injury to the community. Today in our society, we're doing the same thing. We look at people who are different from us. All you have to do is turn on the television and listen to these political commentaries or the ads that are being put out there. You have little buzzwords being used about people on welfare. You have then the whole issue of gays. Then there's the issue of the unemployed who, if you listen to some of these people, don't think really want to be employed. And it just gets ridiculous that we're setting these people outside of common society as if they don't matter. Just the way lepers were treated 2,000 years ago. Brought together, put in a place, and oh yeah, we'll give you some scraps of food to eat. But be sure you tell us you're unclean while you're at it. You may even remember, some of you that are old enough, you know, when HIV/AIDS was first identified, they wanted to segregate that population into one place too. Where does it stop? The gospel tells us it stops with our relationship with Jesus Christ. Does it say that in those words? No. But listen to what it does tell you about what was going on between that leper and the Lord. That leper knew his condition in life. And he comes to his Lord and God, as he acknowledges him to be, and asks him for something, but prefaces it with the fact, if it's your will. So many times, when we ask of something from God, if he doesn't do what we want him to do, then we get mad at God. Or we say, God doesn't exist. He didn't answer my prayers. But here's the perfect example of how to approach our God. Humbly. And asking for it, if it's God's will for it to happen, to let it happen. Opening ourselves for the will of God in our lives. Giving up control, if you will. For you see, through sin, you and I set ourselves outside of the community of faith. And we all sin. There is always something in our lives that disrupts the harmony of the community, of our family relationships, of our community relationships. There is something that goes on that causes us to be outside of the fold. But if we open ourselves up to God's power in our lives, and we ask to come back, we're welcomed. Tale of the prodigal son, which we'll hear in a few more weeks. The curing of the leper this week. And of course the curing of Peter's mother-in-law last week. All of these are examples of God showing to us how much he cares for us and wants us to be part of his family. This week, as we bring this part of ordinary time to an end over the next 10 days, open yourself up to the power of the Spirit in your life. Ask God for whatever you want to ask of him. But be ready to accept his will for your life.